Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I have another introduction to a draft league that I will be competing in. This league is honestly a bit higher skill level than the previous leagues I've uploaded in the past, and you know, I've kind of gained a track record here recently of starting to follow these draft leagues and then dropping it throughout the season on the content side because I lose interest a lot of the time in the team I'm playing with, or we're underperforming, as it has happened here recently with our bit of a drought here that we've had, but we're hoping to really turn it around in this league. I feel really confident with the team that we've drafted and prepared here for this season, and this league has a big emphasis on content creation through the commissioner of it and such, which I feel like is going to, you know, help us here with keeping that grind for content going. But as you see, we will be competing in the TBPL, the British Pokemon League. I'm sure your first question is, why is an American playing in a British Pokemon League? And to that I say, don't worry about it. We will simply be bringing home a championship to the States from the British Pokemon League. But it is a national dex Pokemon League that has Legends of Arceus Mons in it, which is a fun little twist that they've introduced to this season. And it's one of the big drawing points to me for this league when a good friend of mine, Kirky, brought it up and really threw my name into the running to joining this along with Josh and Lamaris, you know, my two good friends here that you may have heard me brought up, and we've had battles in the past on the channel and really my core building group, so it was just a fun introduction to get to play with them in the league. And we'll just kick it off here with our first round pick. We went with a Zeraora. Now, this mon is extremely fast and fun to use in singles, and I've never got the chance to use it in a VGC setting where they allow mythicals. I've always went for more powerhouse focused mythicals, where Zeraora has the power, but its support move pool and options are honestly quite incredible, with it being the fastest fake out in the format. Along with that, it brings a lot of fun tech to it, with things like Plasma Fist making all normal type moves electric. It can add certain dynamics to games, and I thought it was a very solid first pick. It was in the S tier, so it was a very expensive pick, but it's also a very strong mon that I believe will be a core centerpiece to our builds pretty much every week. So even in the games where it won't be the most offensive threat or the biggest drawing point to the team, its support options are incredible for team building with fake out, every week coaching, and different things like that. It offers some fun dynamics to the teams that I'm looking really forward to playing with. That it was a clear first round pick to me, and it wasn't in my consideration originally because the way I done this draft before we go on to the second round here is for the first time in a while, because this was a live draft and not a slow draft. So we were making our picks, you know, we had like a 10-minute timer, I think is what we had it set to, where you had to come in with a plan and stick to it the best that you could and hope that your key mons didn't get sniped. So the first time ever in draft, instead of focusing on the top end of my draft plan originally, I picked like 5 or 6 of the mid or low tier mons that I thought would be really solid niche or core building bricks that I could put into different weeks and pretty much guarantee myself a middle core of low tier and mid tier mons that I loved, because I figured if I could lock those up, the top tier mons that I could get to fill in the roles that I needed would be really worth it. And we were the last pick of the first round, so we had the will pick here. So after going Zeraora in round 1, immediately after that in round 2, we went with Garchomp. Now, you may notice that I have both Mega Garchomp and regular Garchomp on this slide. And that is for the simple fact that when you draft a Pokemon, you get both its normal form and its Mega form, but you can only bring one Mega a week. This actually factored into a lot of my picks later on, including one of the crucial 4 draft picks I had in that mid to low tier. Because the fact that you get both its regular and Mega gives a lot of these Pokemon a lot of versatility. Now, things with Garchomp, obviously its Mega gets a lot of flack for not being the best Mega just because it loses so much speed. But Sand Force and its attack boost lets this thing hit like an absolute truck in weeks. And just a little bit of a spoiler, we have Sand on the team, so we'll definitely be able to facilitate this thing, and it being an A, I thought was really good value because I figured Garchomp would be an S tier mon because it is a Garchomp, and anyone that has played VGC or even singles knows that Garchomp is a bit of a threat, especially in draft because it has such a good move pool and it has different options because it can go bulky, it can go offensive. It's just a really good crucial building piece mon in the upper tiers that I felt complemented our mid to low picks that I wanted quite well. So now, you know, we had a bit of a wait. We were sitting there for a bit and some things went off the board, but nothing that I had my eye on really went off. And in the 3rd round, I decided to finally pick up one of those low tier mons that I had my eye on that I really wanted with Alcremie. Now, Alcremie is obviously not an offensive threat as much, even though it has a very respectful special attack stat, so it can go offensive if I need it to for that special fairy attacker. But Decorate is such a good support move, giving a +2 attack and +2 special attack to any mon. And then it has other things with its abilities, preventing sleep and stuff on my partner in it. Like, Alcremie it is an amazing support mon, and it was in C tier, so it was the 2nd to lowest tier. And like, I've used Alcremie in standard VGC here recently, and I loved it. And I wanted to give it a try in a draft format where there's no Dynamax, so those +2 boost will honestly do a lot more for mons, because it will make things OHKO that shouldn't. And it really felt good next to a Garchomp or a Zeraora, being able to give it a +2 attack or special attack. And after we picked up that in round 4, we took really our last top tier mon, because I was honestly surprised this thing was there in round 4, with Scizor and Mega Scizor. This was another mon that was in the A tier, surprisingly to me, and it just fits so well, because this gives us our fantasy course with Alcremie, Garchomp, and Scizor. Obviously, Alcremie isn't a top tier fairy, but it's serviceable, especially when you have the powerhouses that are Mega Scizor and a Garchomp. But Scizor is a really nice mon that, in this format, since it's National Dex, it has a lot of tools that it can do. We have things like Tailwind, bulky Scizor that we can run, or then just, standard Swords Dance, Bullet Punch. We have the coaching option from Zeraora for it. We have the decoration option for Alcremie for it. So a lot of the time, we won't even have to run Swords Dance on Scizor, and we can tech other moves into matchups. And Scizor, just it being there in round 4 was a complete shock to me, because in my original draft plan, I looked at it and I was like, if I could get Scizor, I really like it on this team. But I didn't believe it would be there in round 4. Like, I expected this thing to go first round. So then when it came back to me at the end of round 3, the start of round 4, I was flabbergasted at this thing being around still, so I had to pick it up. So then, we had another wait here into round 5, and this is when we picked our first D tier, the lowest tier mon, with Pidgeot and Mega Pidgeot. Obviously, Pidgeot and Mega Pidgeot aren't top tier threats, and they aren't even fantastic Mega, it isn't. But for D tier, this thing was a steal to me, because this thing can hit extremely hard with its no guard heat waves and hurricanes. It can be a fast tailwind mon. It was such a fun mon to me in the D tier, and with it being mega in the D tier, I came in and this mon was the first mon that I had on my draft planner. I knew I wanted this thing. I knew I was taking it somewhat early to guarantee that I got it, because this was one of the best value mons in this whole draft to me, because it can hit so hard for a D tier, and it provides some good support to the team with a fast tailwind if we wanted it. And then in round 6, we went with Giraffe Rig. Now, this pick in round 6 is honestly quite shocking, I'm sure. But there was some strategy to me picking Pidgeot and Giraffe Rig here. There was a team that was going mono normal, and I knew that these two normal types would be on their list somewhere more than likely, because these were two big fighting type, neutral, normal type mons that had some niche value to them, especially with Giraffe Rig being a inner focus Trick Room mon. It is actually a pretty decent support option for setting Trick Room for my team. And on top of that, its attacking stats aren't horrible. This mon will more than likely, when it comes, be a Trick Room setter, but it has some other niche options that it can do. And it has Ally Switch for, a little bit of a cheeky redirection from week to week if we need it. But overall, Giraffe Rig was another D tier mon that I just felt it has a good niche and it has good opportunities on the team that can fill a role. And we knew that we needed to pick like some crucial D tier mons to fit out our draft plan, because we went a bit top heavy. You've already seen us take 1 S and 2 A's. And I know I said that was it, but I just remembered that we took another S tier here soon, so that wasn't it at all. So we needed some, budget value mons. So then, we had another bit of a wait here before round 7, where we picked up our 3rd D tier in a row with Rapidash. Rapidash is a mon that I've used in the past, and it gets a lot of flack for not being all that good of a fire. But this thing's speed stat is incredible at 115, and it has such a good move pool of options that you can cover for a lot of things. And then also, it has the cheeky Ally Switch, as everything does anymore. But Rapidash in the D tier as a fire type was a decent value to me. I've took it in the past, like I've said, as a very low tier fire, and I really was impressed with the way that it ran most of the time when I used it. It put in work in some games. Now, obviously, Rapidash as my fire type isn't the best of situations to be in, but it has a lot of good coverage on it with Wild Charge and Drill Run. It is honestly a fantastic fire type that, well, not a fantastic fire type, but a fantastic budget fire type, especially in a VGC stance, where I'm going to have support options alongside it with things like the Coaching Zeraora, the Decoration, Alcremie, the Fake Out on Zeraora for the faster threats that may outspeed Rapidash. I think Rapidash is just a real good niche budget mon that can come in some weeks and put in work if they don't respect it. And alongside Rapidash, we took our final high tier mon with Tyranitar. We got the Premier Sand Setter for if we want to run Sandveil Garchomp or Mega Garchomp with Sand Force. And on top of that, Tyranitar and Mega Tyranitar are just absolute monsters and staples in VGC over the years. And it gives us a pretty solid Trick Room mon, in all honesty. With base 60 speed, it's not the slowest, but it will underspeed a lot of standard mons that, if they get out of hand, could threaten us since they outspeed Tyranitar. But if we get, that Trick Room up and T-Tar in, Tyranitar can honestly be a huge threat. And even if we don't want it in Trick Room, Dragon Dance, Mega Tyranitar, next to Zeraora, the Fake Out to get the Dragon Dance, and then start coaching this Tyranitar? Or even how creamy decorating this Tyranitar? Tyranitar is a threat that can and will take names this season. And special Tyranitar should not be slept on. This Mons special move pool is honestly something marvelous that can be used in weeks where physical Tyranitar may not be as good, or they have, Intimidate, they're very physical, bulky, or just where we need a coverage special move on something. Tyranitar can very easily run special. Now at this point, we're going into round 9, we have 3 picks left, and we have some pretty crucial typings missing. But with our next pick, we went with Tapu Bulu. Now, Tapu Bulu doesn't get enough respect in the VGC community, in my opinion. Its lack of a great physical fairy move kills it in a lot of people's opinion. To me, I don't think a great fairy move is needed on Bulu because a Wood Hammer. Must I say more? Wood Hammer in grassy terrain is a nuke button in the right situations. And on top of that, Bulu can be a good Scarfer, it can be an Assault Vest, it can be Bandit, obviously, Life Orb. But its grassy terrain gives a lot to the team, because we had quite a nice little ground weakness going, which, that's just standard dicey drafting at this point, isn't it? What is a dice team if it doesn't have a ground weakness? But grassy terrain, limiting earthquake opportunities was quite huge for the team, and on top of that, Bulu just being a really good grass type, and it can be a defensive fairy if I need it to be with Assault Vest. I just thought it gave a lot to the team. And then in round 10, we got our water type with Jellicent. I absolutely love Jellicent. It is a great bulky defensive water type that can go offensive and Trick Room if need be. Things like Will-O-Wisp and Sap Strength will just kill physical attackers. It has Trick Room, it has Imprison. Jellicent just has a lot of tools that make it a really solid mon in draft. And it, alongside Tyranitar and, some of the other mons on the team, just really can be a nice little Trick Room package on top of a team that is meant to go fast. So it brought a lot to the team, I felt, overall. The Curse Body on it can be really crucial in some weeks. It has Encore if we want to trap things into moves. Like, Jellicent's versatility is honestly highly, highly underrated in my opinion. So, Jellicent was a no-brainer here in round 10. And then in the final round, we picked up our last D-tier mon with Venomoth. Now, Venomoth, you look at, and you probably wonder, Dicey, what does this thing do? Is this thing not just a useless Pokemon that hasn't been seen in a national deck since Johto? And to that I say, yeah, pretty much. But, it does have some fun things to it. It has Rage Powder for redirection when we need it. Obviously, Safety Goggles, negates that whole thing. But, if we're forcing a mon into Safety Goggles, that means we're taking a Scarf off of it, or a Life Orb, or a Berry, or anything that could be more problematic to the rest of our team. On top of that, this thing has Quiver Dance, if we want to go offensive with it, because this thing has respectful special attack and speed, in all honesty, if we want to run it offensive. Will I run it offensive? That is a completely different question, but I can. But obviously, I'm not gonna sit and lie. This was a last round pick for Rage Powder, pretty much. It does have some fun techs that can do a Sleep Powder and stuff, but Tinted Lens, Quiver Dance, Bug Buzz from this thing will take some lives this season if I bring it and they do not expect it and they are not prepared. And then I'll leave it here we have the Sacramento Score Bunny final roster photo for everyone to enjoy. I'll have it up on Twitter. I will be following the league weekly with content, and I mean it this time. Like I've said, this league has a really good content group behind it with the commissioner of Matt. And with this being a system where we're playing in the Championship Division, trying to qualify our way up, we look really forward to playing in it. Now, if you're interested in, another opinion of this team, and, you want to see the other teams and maybe get some feedback about them and some of the competitors this season, in the description I'll have linked a video from the official British Pokemon League YouTube, where they break down each team in this division, and they, rank them a bit, and, talk a little smack, maybe. But it's really a good watch, and they have some really good points on some of the teams, and I feel like it's just, it's a good starting point for you to get into this league and see exactly what's going to be going on. They do weekly shows as well that's going to be based around the league if you want to follow it outside of, my content that I'll be uploading. Because, obviously I'll be uploading my perspective. If you want to see, what's going on in the league, what's happening in the British Pokemon League, like, if you want to be a hardcore fan of the product, I'll have that linked below for y'all. Y'all don't have to worry about that. I've got you. And with that, thank y'all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And I'll catch you all in the next one. See ya.